Hello and welcome to the Crimewatch Roadshow. For the whole of June, we are live from all around the country, bringing Crimewatch to you. And this morning, Rav is beside the sea. Good morning.
Morning, Sophie. Today I'm in the sunny south coast. I'm here in Southsea, and today I'm on the hunt for the gang who stole £500,000 worth of farming equipment from a remote village not too far from here. More on that later.
We've had some great calls on yesterday's cases, including that paintballing site. We'll tell you more about that later. Your calls really do help solve crimes. Our number is there on screen, so if you can help, get dialing. And as well as tackling the crimes in Hampshire, we're also looking to solve crimes from all over the UK. Coming up this morning, have a look at this man. Should I? Shouldn't I? Should I? Shouldn't I? Oh, go on then. Caught on camera, the cheeky man who helps himself to goods from the entrance to a curry store. It was so quick, you could have missed it. But luckily, the cameras didn't. Will you know who he is? And the thieves who targeted a war museum just days before the Queen was due to visit.
We didn't want to mention it, obviously, because we didn't want to ruin what was a wonderful occasion and turned out to be a fantastic visit by Her Majesty the Queen.
And now you see it. Oh, and now you don't. We're on the hunt for the thieves who made off with a half-ton horse by the world-famous sculptor Dame Elizabeth Frink. It's worth £200,000. All that's still to come, but right now, Rav, and your first case this morning, Rav.
Well, Sophie, this enormous truck behind me is not the sort of thing you could sneak into your back pocket, but the gang in our first case this morning got away with one of these and a whole lot more. Here's what happened.
The rolling Hampshire countryside. It's beautiful, but it's also quiet. The very quality that can make it a magnet for crime.
This is our livelihood, and they just keep coming back to take it away from us.
We're after a gang who take advantage of rural locations to target farms and lockups to steal hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of tools and equipment. Andy, a resident in Shedfield near Southampton, became their ideal target when he moved his business to the area.
We started a plant hire company 2 years ago, hiring portable accommodation and secure site storage. And when we were looking for somewhere to start, we figured that by moving into the countryside, we'd be quieter and we'd be able to get on with our business in our own way.
But on the 13th of April, little did Andy know he was about to lose everything.
It's coming up to the Easter bank holiday, and I finished the day, wasn't anything out of the ordinary. I locked up the gates to the farm and jumped in the car and cruised home about a mile away.
With Andy gone, the gang of thieves seized their opportunity. At around 5 o'clock, they broke in and loaded up Andy's lorry with tens of thousands of pounds of equipment.
We came in after the bank holiday. I just couldn't believe what I saw. I just had that sinking feeling that we'd been burgled.
Stealing noisy items like lorries was no problem for the thieves in the quiet lanes of the countryside, where they seemed to go unnoticed. But Andy was one step ahead. The truck was fitted with a tracking device which could pinpoint its precise whereabouts.
I immediately called the tracking company, who gave us the exact location of the lorry. When we got the lorry back, it was beyond economic repair and we had to scrap it. Feels like they're trying to almost put us out of business. It's just getting beyond a joke, really.
As a last resort, Andy was forced to more extreme measures. With a security guard and a pack of dogs in place, it seemed the company could do no more to protect the business. Incredibly, this didn't stop the thieves striking again.
Now, sadly, the police believe the gang are responsible for a whole load more burglaries, one of which they got away with £130,000 worth of farming equipment from. Now, this has left families devastated and fearing for their own safety. This man is hot on their heels, and he'll be joining me later to tell us the clues which could help you solve it.
Remember, we are live this morning, so if you can help, do call us 08000 468 999, or you can text us on 63399. Text CW, a space, and then your message. And don't forget to leave the space or your message will not get through to us. Also coming up on this morning show, how safe is your cash card? You probably got something like this. Well, in the UK, £192 billion is withdrawn from a hole in the wall every year. That is £6,000 per second. Well, thieves are taking advantage, and our correspondent, Damon Embling, is on the case. Good morning, Damon.
Hi Sophie, this morning I'm here in Hampshire with DC Graham Gray. Later we'll be showing you the CCTV footage and the faces of the people he believes are responsible for fitting these. These are little camera devices onto cash point machines. We'll be revealing how the gang did it, and we'll also be giving you some tips on how you can avoid it happening to you.
Damon, thank you very much. And if you have a look over here in a moment, I'm going to tell you more about some of today's most wanted faces. Here they all are. But first, do keep your eyes peeled, because you might just recognise one of our villains caught on camera.
By any means necessary seems to be this bloke's motto as he tries to break into this elderly residential care home in London. Mr. Lowlife eventually gets in, and when he does, breaks into an 85-year-old woman's bedroom, knocks her to the floor and steals 80 quid. We don't get a good look at his face, but someone watching knows who he is. Curry's in Leighton, London, and this bloke can't make his mind up. Should I? Shouldn't I? You'll get caught. Oh, I'll do it anyway. Smile. Name, please. It's not a pretty sight as this bloke gets to work with an angle grinder. He's attempting to open the ATM machine in this shop in Chingford. Hope you're wearing safety goggles, mate. Sparks fly, but he gets nowhere. He's joined by his mate, who's equally unsuccessful with his tool. Smile, guys, you're on TV. Who are they? We're at the RS Lounge in Woodford, London, and this bold geezer has a bit of a thirst on. He walks straight in and helps himself to 6 bottles of alcohol worth £1,500 and walks straight out. He's got a lot of bottle, and we need a name.
If you do know anyone, please call. The numbers are there on the screen right now. Now, we're on the trail of stolen antiques, and Rav has been having a look at what is an ever-growing problem.
Following a burglary, thieves need a place to turn their looted goods into hard cash. And one option is an auction house, like this one.
At £20 only. 22 I'll take.
So, Aaron, you work here. This is your place. Have you ever had any stolen items turn up?
Yeah, one that sort of sticks in the brain. There was a little old lady.
Yeah.
She must have been in her 60s, really. Brought in some lovely bits of silver, valued them. Thought nothing of it. And then police came up to us and sort of said that there was a local robbery in a manor house close to us.
Yeah.
And a old lady had been sort of posing as a cleaner, popped into the house, stole a lot of silver and brought it to
So she was a thief? I thought she was going to be a victim. So
no,
she was
exactly. I mean, to be honest, we were just shocked.
Although auctioneers like Aaron are on the lookout for stolen goods, antique theft is still big business, something the community of Alresford have had a tough time coming to terms with. Back in March, someone broke into the station and stole one of their most valued possessions, an antique station clock.
The booking hall where it was situated is the first thing that our customers see, and now there's a big hole there where it isn't.
Police believe someone broke into the station between 6:30 p.m. on Saturday the 21st of March and 7:55 a.m. the following morning.
The clock was worth about £2,000, but unfortunately its value has been ruined by being ripped from the wall.
The clock is incredibly distinctive, with the serial number 10566 and the letters SR imprinted on it.
Someone is sitting there with this clock in their living room, but unfortunately all our visitors are now deprived of seeing it.
So what advice can you give people like those in Alresford to protect their antiques?
You see, with antique furniture, the hardest thing is obviously marking something
course.
up. You don't want to gouge in there, you don't want to stick stuff on. So an ultraviolet pen, just underneath, anywhere underneath a drawer, underneath the bottom, where someone's not normally going to look.
Yeah.
It's the best way to do it, really, I would say.
At £8 only. 10 is there. £8 on commission.
So if you have any information where this antique clock could be, please give us a call. The staff at Alresford Station are even offering a reward. If you can help, you could end up driving one of their steam engines for the day. Right, let me just remind you of those details there. We've got the serial number of that clock. It's 10566, and at the centre of the dial, it reads S&R, very distinctive, and obviously the auction house is doing everything they can to stop items like stolen items getting onto the open market. Now, with me now is Inspector Ian Whiten, and you've got 2 more items that you're appealing for, haven't you?
Yes, that's correct. We're looking for some property that was stolen in a burglary towards the end of 2008 from the Aldershot area. The first one is an 18th century clock, which is made by Verdi. It's got quite a distinctive chime, and the victim in this burglary is quite vulnerable, partially sighted, and relied on the security of listening to those chimes to tell the time. The second item is a painting in Portsmouth Harbour by an artist called Charles Dixon. That's quite distinctive. So we would appeal for anyone that's seen the painting, been offered the painting for sale, or seen the painting being offered for sale, to contact Hampshire Constabulary or Crime Stoppers.
I think people can see those items at home now, but who do you think would have actually gone and stolen these?
Well, I don't think this is an opportunist crime. When the property was broken into, there were a number of items that could have been taken that were ignored and left. And clearly certain items, including the clock and the painting, were targeted. So I think this is probably an organised crime gang who may well have had an outlet for the property at the time of going in to take it.
So it's definitely worth looking out for. Now, what can people do to protect their property?
Well, clearly the obvious things, the advice we always give is make sure you have proper door locks and window locks on your property. Make sure your neighbours are looking after the property when you're away. But also, with regard to antiques, make sure you consult an antique specialist to get proper advice on how to mark your antiques without devaluing them.
Yeah, it's an important part to anyone with items such as that. Well, thanks for joining us, Ian, and if you can help, and you know where those 2 items might be, then please get on that phone and give us a call.
Rav, thank you. Well, I'm joined in the studio by Dick Ellis, a former member of the Metropolitan Police Theft Squad, who specialised in tracking down stolen art. Good morning. I mean, some of these pieces are extremely distinctive. You'd think it'd be quite difficult to get rid of.
Well, I mean, all art and antiques are of themselves quite unique. Unfortunately, the art market is very robust. If you think you can dispose of these things through car boot sales, there are fairs most weekends all over the country. There are auction houses, dealers. So it's a relatively easy market to offload stolen property, which is not of, shall we say, museum quality. And of course, nowadays there's even eBay, or the online auction houses, which are increasingly used by the criminals to dispose of stolen property.
But some of this stuff is very valuable, and presumably they're not getting the market value for it if it's in a car boot sale.
No, but generally art and antiques are stolen by professional criminals. These are people who understand what they're stealing. They will have targeted the properties because they've known what's in there to steal and how they're going to dispose of it.
OK, well, it's not just small items like these that we're going to be talking to you later about. That huge horse that's gone missing, you're going to tell us about that later on, but for now, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right now, though, we're going to show you some more of our most wanted faces. Do you recognise any of them? They could be hiding near you. Number 1 this morning is Abdul Sukur. Sukur is wanted in connection with indecent assault and exposure by Lancashire Police. He is believed to be in the London area. Face number 2, police would like to find this man, John William Forrester. Forrester is being recalled to prison for failing to comply with the conditions of his licence. He was last seen in the Lincoln area. Face number 3 this morning, 52-year-old Roy Cardiff. Police would like to talk to him in connection with a burglary. The Met Police would also like a word about a deception. Cardiff has the letters RKD tattooed on his right arm. So where is he this morning? And face number 4 over there, Azwar Amin is 27 and wanted by police in connection with a kidnapping and the breaching of a court order. He has a cut to his top lip and scars under both eyebrows. If you know where they're hiding, call or text. The numbers are on the screen now. Still to come, what do these 2 men have in common? Quite a bit, actually. On 2 separate occasions, they used the same car to fill up with petrol at the same petrol pump. and they both drove off without paying. We want to know who they are. Plus, the thieves who targeted a museum dedicated to those who fought for their country just as they prepared to commemorate the 65th anniversary of the D-Day landings.
I think it's absolutely disgraceful for what the museum stands for, and a representative of all the men and women and backup staffs and all the sacrifices they made on D-Day.
First, though, back to Shedfield, a small village in Hampshire, where a gang of thieves have been targeting small businesses, ruining livelihoods and terrifying people. Andy's business has been targeted by a gang of thieves. They ransacked his offices and stole £60,000 worth of tools. They effectively took his livelihood away.
We've lost a lot of money due to the burglaries, and it really could have ruined the business.
As a last resort, Andy was forced to more extreme measures. With a security guard and a pack of dogs in place, it seemed the company could do no more to protect the business.
We enlisted the help of a small security firm because we weren't going to be robbed again.
Unaware of the security improvements, the gang struck a second time.
I was staying on site that particular night with the search dogs. One of the search dogs barked, caused me to get up and investigate. Came out, saw two guys, one in a leather jacket, one looked like had a hood on, leaving into the barn area. Got one of the dogs out, came out, searched the barn area, no trace of anyone, they'd gone.
This time, Roy's presence scared them away, but police believe this gang are responsible for many more crimes.
We've placed a huge amount of resources into finding these thieves. We believe that the same gang is responsible for targeting at least 10 local businesses this year alone. We know that this gang targets local businesses and often return when the stock is replaced.
Another victim who wishes to remain anonymous has been targeted at least once a year since his business started.
I don't think you can imagine what it's like to be the victim of 6 burglaries in such a short period of time. It's like I'm being persecuted. I don't think my business can sustain another hit. This is ruining us. People think we have closed down because they heard how big this burglary was. Most people assume you have just gone bust. This burglary is killing my business.
This time they stole a massive £130,000 worth of tools, vehicles and equipment.
Countless lives ruined by this extraordinary spate of thefts, amounting to more than £500,000, a very high price to pay for the havoc this gang has caused.
I don't think they understand the impact it's had on me and my family. Words can't comprehend it.
We know of at least 3 other businesses that have been ruined at the hands of these thieves. Every story is the same. Lives shattered by thefts amounting to £500,000. People are generally fearing for their safety.
So, Rav, have police got any idea who this gang is?
Well, it's clearly had a devastating impact on anyone that's been targeted, but thanks to one of the security guards from our first case, we at least know what they might have looked like. And PC Paul Simmons is here to tell us more. So what do we know about the gang then?
Well, we know the 2 gentlemen that tried to steal this, similar truck to this, both white males, one a little bit older than the other, possibly with grey hair. Both wearing black clothes, possibly leather jackets. So you've got something to go on there, and there's a fair few incidents that you're linking together. How many? At the moment, we're thinking there's at least 3. We know that they're all teams, larger than probably 5 people, because of the amount of stuff they're taking, and because there's 3 quite close together, which is why we're linking them together.
They say the amount of stuff, there's masses of stuff, but it's bulky, big, horrible things that they're taking out. Now, it's not subtle, is it? People must have spoken about this.
No, it's big things. A lot of the items from the hire company have all got an X and a number scribed after them. Things like this, you would know if it was driving down somewhere where it shouldn't be.
And people may have spoken about this?
Hopefully, yeah. That's why we're appealing to people that would have had some kind of contact with either the people that stole it or the people that were trying to get rid of it.
Well, let's hope so. Well, Hampshire Police have got a special plan in place for things such as this, and it's called Crimewatch, and to tell us more is PC Lee Coleshill. Good morning.
Morning.
So tell us what Crimewatch is.
Crimewatch is an initiative we set up many years ago in the north of the county that's now spread further afield. It's where we stay in touch with our rural communities. Members of the public often phone us with information, they can email us, and vice versa. We'll pass information out to them of crimes of this nature and many other associated things.
So you think it could potentially help crimes such as this then?
Yeah, it could do. Yeah, it's quite possible. I think when we're given our public relevant information, things for them to look out for, they very often come back to us and tell us what they've seen.
And quickly, is there any advice that you could give to the public so they're not victims themselves?
Just remain vigilant, security lights, lock your gates, put your property away, be aware of what's going on. Don't be overly worried and, you know, Hampshire's a great place to live.
Vigilance is a very good thing.
It
Good
is.
plan. OK, well, it just shows you have to be vigilant wherever you are. Back to you, Sophie.
Thank you very much. Now, already we've had a call about the Charles Dickson painting that we showed you earlier on, the one that had been stolen. Well, somebody has already rung in to say that they think they have spotted it in an antique shop in Nottinghamshire. So we will, of course, pass that information on to the police. Please do keep your calls coming. Right now, though, take a look at this lot, all caught on camera.
Early January at a BP garage in London's south-east, and this man's not having the petrol price hike. He fills up and ships out without paying a penny. Recognise the car or the man at the pump? Call us. 3 weeks later and, hang on a sec, it's the same garage, same car, only this time it's a different bloke. Again, the car's filled up with petrol and just driven off. It's time someone started paying. So give us a call with any names. We're at Ladbrokes Old Kent Road, and this man is a bad loser. He gets uncomfortably close to the victim. Maybe he's checking her out. He becomes increasingly restless, and then strikes. He grabs her bag and makes a run for it. The betting is we can catch him, but we need your help with a name.
Please, if you do recognise anyone, call us 08000 468 999 or text C63399CW, space, and then your message. Don't forget to leave the space or your message won't get through. Now, quite how thieves pulled off this next case is a mystery. They stole a bronze horse statue weighing half a tonne from a property near Lingfield in Surrey. Not exactly something that you can stick in a car boot, is it? Well, I'm joined in the studio by DC Nicola Finlayson, who is investigating this case, David Lurie, the gardener who looks after the grounds where the horse was kept, and our theft expert, Dick Ellis, who joined us before. Good morning to all of you. This is a significant work of art as well, isn't it?
It is. Elizabeth Frink is one of our most renowned sculptors. She died in 1993, and this particular statue is one of only 4 that were cast from this particular model.
And David, the family had it for, what, 15 years? It must have been a huge shock to find it had suddenly gone.
Well, that's right. I mean, it's a personal object that was a focal point of that part of the garden. So quite apart from the material loss, it's also a considerable aesthetic loss. And I think it's left them feeling with a feeling of invasion of privacy and of emptiness.
Right. I mean, it's worth £200,000, isn't it? A huge amount of money. What do you think happened that night then?
Yeah, the thefts occurred overnight between the 8th and 9th of April this year. We believe 4 or 5 people have actually been involved in the theft. They've gained entry into the gardens. It's clearly very planned and thought out theft. As you said, it weighs half a tonne. That's why we think that it's 4 or 5 people.
So how have they moved it?
A vehicle's been used that's caused substantial damage to the grounds and the lawns. And they've driven the vehicle to where the actual statue is. They've then removed that, put it onto the vehicle and left the property. In doing so, we believe that they've caused themselves a puncture and then they've driven off. Now, we located a stolen vehicle further up the road in South Godstone, and we believe that that may be connected, and it's actually a Land Rover. So what we're really appealing to anybody that knows the whereabouts of the statue or that was actually involved in the theft or may have seen the statue be moved from one vehicle to another.
And Dave, when you went there the next day, I mean, you found tyre marks everywhere, didn't you? They've been driving all over the estate.
That's right, yeah. When one of the guys turned up in the morning, he found the gate smashed down, and we followed the tyre marks around across lawns, up some stone steps that they'd smashed, and quite a long circuitous route around to where this horse had been.
So they knew what they were after. They were going for it.
They knew exactly.
Dick Ellis, what are they going to do with it? I mean, are they going to melt it down? It's a really distinctive piece of work, isn't it?
I think it's very unlikely they'll melt it down. Generally, statues of this nature, very valuable, very unique pieces, they're stolen for their artistic value. The most audacious theft that has some similarities to this one was the theft of a 2.5-ton Henry Moore that was stolen in Hertfordshire just before Christmas 2006. And again, a vehicle was stolen from quite close by specifically to be used in the commission of the crime. I think this will be hidden away for a little while whilst they find a buyer or some outlet for it.
But this is what I don't understand. It's such an important, distinctive work of art. How can you find a buyer for something that, you know, people should know, really, shouldn't they? And the art world is stolen.
Well, they should, but unfortunately there are people out there who are prepared to buy, perhaps not for its full market value, but still for a substantial sum, stolen items of this nature. But I mean, if you are offered something like this, you really need to undertake due diligence, understand who you're buying from, know who they are, make sure that these things are not recorded as stolen and circulated, as this horse is.
Well, let's hope it is found. Thank you very much. And if you can help us to track down this very distinctive piece, please do call us. The numbers are on the screen. Or if you'd like to remain anonymous, you can call the independent charity Crime Stoppers. Their number 0800 555 111. Back now, though, to our correspondent Damon Embling, who has the essential guide to beating the thieves who tamper with ATM machines. They are trying to steal your details and ultimately your cash. It's extraordinary. Damon.
Thanks, Sophie. This morning we're on the hunt for one particular gang who've been striking in the Portsmouth area.
You don't think about it, do you?
No,
when you get your money,
don't.
you go to cash point, get your money out.
Yeah, when you get your money out, you don't really realise, do you? Just do it and that's it. You don't really realise who's around you and what they know.
It's really hard to know what to look out for because, like, the signs aren't really that clear. It's kind of done under the radar most of the time and can't catch you off guard like that.
It's always ideal to cover up your PIN number, especially in shops as well, I think, because you never know who's going to follow you home. Or, you know, you just got to be wary, haven't you, in the days.
Every day, someone is being defrauded at a cash machine. And the Portsmouth area has recently become the target of a spate of scams. One of the victims of this is local resident Donna George.
It was 8:30 in the evening. I went to the cash point. Just thought it would take me 5 minutes to jump out the car, get some cash. I put my card in the machine and then it said, please take your card and your cash will follow shortly.
But Donna's card never came out.
It was as though I'd put the card in and it got stuck coming out, so I actually thought it was the ATM machine. And I tried to get my card out and I couldn't. It flashed up with a number and I rang the bank. The lady on the phone just kept putting me on hold, saying your card is being used right now.
Unbeknown to Donna, the gang had been watching. Minutes after she'd walked away, thinking her card had been swallowed, they used her card at a nearby cash machine and withdrew as much money as they could.
At 8:30, I attempted to make my transaction. At 8:34, I was on the phone to the bank, and they actually cleared the bank account and took £750 by 8:37.
Police are keen to trace these two men who were seen acting suspiciously the day before at a Barclays cash point nearby.
At 7:45 p.m. on the 2nd of May, a man was using this cash machine in Laburnum Grove, Portsmouth, when a piece of metal fell away, revealing a camera.
A number of things happened to make them suspicious about this cash point.
The same cash machine was used by a woman on Wednesday the 20th of May, about 8 p.m. This time the machine swallowed a card. Did anybody else have the card swallowed at that time?
Two suspicious cash points from which thieves can get away with hundreds of pounds. How do they do it?
A device is placed over the card slot. Somebody will come in, put their card into the machine, and the machine will read it as normal. You'll put your PIN number in, the machine will look like it's trying to give you the money, you'll hear it counting, but what won't happen is the card won't come out because it's been caught in the device. The machine will then shut down as if it's retained your card. Customer will walk away, the gang will then come up, remove the device, and within that device will be your card.
Card criminals have a range of devices at their disposal.
This machine holds your data, and that data can be used to make a clone of your card. Clearly this isn't meant for this machine, but you can see the principle. That card slot would fit across there. You will feed your card into there. The data will be read by a card reader that's attached to this machine. Your card will come out as normal, but the data is held on a data stick on that machine.
The gang now have your card details. All they need to complete the transaction is your PIN, so they simply take a video of it using a device like this.
This part of the machine has been stripped of all the internal workings, but you would have the video camera section of a mobile phone, which would be focusing directly through that pinhole, directly down onto the keypad. This is held onto the machine above the keypad. So if you see something like that, give it a pull and it will come away because it's only held on by stick-about plastic.
Armed with both your PIN number and your card, criminals are now free to withdraw cash from your account. Despite the scam, Donna is still using cash machines, but now she's a lot more cautious.
I've not used an outside cash machine at all. I've gone into the bank to withdraw money or used the ATM machine inside the bank.
So what else can you do to avoid being a target of one of these scams?
First of all, always have a quick check around the card point and above the keypad. See anything that you think is a bit suspicious, give it a quick pull. Comes off in your hand, then you know there's something attached.
Unbelievably, these gangs can even imitate a whole cash point.
Although some of these devices can look relatively crude, some of them are a bit more sophisticated. However, you can still spot the mistakes by looking for some of the imperfections around the card holder and around some of the associated features with the machine. And the lesson is, always cover your PIN number.
I felt angry that someone was capable of doing that. It felt like I was being robbed and there was nobody there robbing me. It was a horrible feeling, actually.
It's really important if anyone sees something out of place on any cash machine to let police or bank staff know straight away, even if your card isn't taken, so we can stop these gangs once and for all.
Worrying stuff there. Well, let's get some more on this. I'm joined now by DC Graham Gray. Graham, you're investigating all of this. We've got some CCTV footage we're about to see. Just talk us through what we can see there.
Yeah, it shows two men coming up to the cash point, tamper with the device and appear to be fitting something to it. They come back later after a woman has a card retained by the machine, and they come and remove the device, take a card, and then go and try and use it at a cash point elsewhere very shortly afterwards.
We can see some faces?
Yeah, you do. You can clearly see the two men responsible, and we're obviously asking for the public's help in trying to identify them.
And you've had some more problems recently down here?
Yeah, since that footage on the 6th of June, the same cash point was attacked, both cash points at the same time, and cards were retained and recovered and used by the people responsible.
Let's have a look at the camera gadget that you've got in your hand there that I showed earlier. Just tell us, how sophisticated are these operations, what these gangs are doing?
They're very sophisticated, actually. Devices consist of two parts, basically. You've got a camera mounted inside the bar that goes above the keypad, which films the people putting their PIN numbers in, and there's a second part fitted to the slot, and on this particular operation it retains the card, and then when the customer can't get it back, they come along, remove it and go and take the card and use it at another cash point.
Clever stuff. Very briefly, some top tips?
Always look at the cash point that you're looking at. Anything that's fitted, don't use a cash point. Always cover your card, the PIN when you're putting it in, and if your card gets retained, cancel it straight away.
Graham Gray, thanks very much. Come on, let's put some names to those faces. Sophie, back to you.
Amazing, isn't it? Well, for more tips on card security, do go to our website, bbc.co.uk/Crimewatch Roadshow. Now, for some more faces wanted by the police. They could be hiding in your neck of the woods. Face number 5 down here. Police would like to speak to 27-year-old Ari Saeed. He's wanted in connection with a serious assault and a sexual offence. Number 6, have you seen this man, Daniel Edward Billington? He's being recalled to prison, having been previously jailed for robbery. Police would also like to talk to him in connection with a serious assault. Number 7 is Kenneth John McBurney. McBurney is being recalled by police to finish his sentence for theft. A warrant has also been issued after he failed to appear in court for burglary charges. Where is he this morning? And our final face today is 22-year-old Michael Doherty. Police would like a word in connection with the possession of Class A drugs. Doherty has the name Kim tattooed on his chest. If you have any information on any of these faces, do call us. The numbers are on screen now.
Now remember, last week I was in Newcastle after the gang who stole the lead off a church roof. Well, our next case, I'm after the thieves who have stolen the lead off the roof behind me, the D-Day Museum here in Southsea, would you believe? And what's more, their timing couldn't have been any worse, because just 2 days later, they were getting ready for a visit from Her Majesty the Queen. One was not amused.
On the 30th of April, the Queen was visiting the D-Day Museum in Southsea, but what she didn't know was the museum was at the heart of a crime spree.
I think it's absolutely disgraceful. It's a sign of the times, I'm afraid, and that someone would even mutilate a place like this as stands in memory of men, women and everyone who fought in World War II.
The audacity of it, the shallowness and heartlessness is just beyond me.
I think it's abominable. That's all I can say. Just hope the devil to get caught.
On the 6th of June 1944, 156,000 Allied troops landed on the beaches of Normandy. 4 years in the preparation, this day marked the start of Operation Overlord, the beginning of the end of World War II, and the eventual liberation of Europe.
When I look back on D-Day, we were darn busy, because first of all, we'd been firing our guns for half an hour in the boats before we landed.
This is the D-Day Museum in Southsea, as Britain's only museum dedicated solely to covering all aspects of the D-Day landings. It also houses the world's longest tapestry of its kind. At 273 feet, it commemorates all aspects of the landings.
To me, it means a living memorial to our men and women that left for D-Day. How many boys went, how many ships were firing, how many landed, how many regiments left from here. It's all here, a whole encompassment of what went on.
This month, the museum, along with thousands of veterans around the country, has been commemorating the 65th anniversary of the D-Day landings. So it's been a busy time for the museum.
The museum is open 7 days a week. We have coaches, school parties, buses will come by train, by ferry, come from Europe, all over the world. And they do spend a lot of time here because there's so much to see here.
Including one very special visitor. On the 30th of April this year, 25 years after the Queen Mother opened the museum, the Queen was visiting. The timing couldn't have been worse. The museum had just become the target of criminals.
It was 2 days before the visit of Her Majesty the Queen to our wonderful museum, and we were all excited by it. We'd spent days and weeks preparing the museum for this.
The museum had scaffolding, perfect access for thieves. The thieves cut and peeled lead flashing from the base of the rotunda on the top of the building. This lead flashing is worth thousands of pounds, and without it, the museum and its precious contents are left vulnerable to the elements.
When I was told the next day that we had the lead stolen from the roof, I came across to look and discover exactly what had happened. And I looked up here and I couldn't believe it. All the lead flashing had gone from around the rotunda here. And I was just flabbergasted.
Due to the high resale value of scrap metal, stealing lead from roofs is both attractive and profitable for thieves. Inspector Steve Hutchings is a Safer Neighbourhoods police officer.
They weren't a professional outfit, just petty thieves. They knew what they were after and they knew what it was worth.
This had a real impact on museum staff, particularly with little time to prepare for the Queen's visit.
We didn't want to mention it, obviously, because we didn't want to ruin what was a wonderful occasion and turned out to be a fantastic visit by Her Majesty the Queen.
None of this would have been of concern to the thieves. They were onto a good thing and brazenly returned just 2 weeks later for more.
To be hit twice in a month is a blatant disregard of what we're here for, what this museum represents. I don't think the robbers understood the gravitas of what they were doing.
Despite David launching his own appeal through the police and the press to track down those responsible, it didn't stop there. A week later, the thieves struck again, just before another big occasion, the 65th anniversary of the D-Day landings.
I can't believe the gall of them. They could come back 3 times It was just unbelievable.
Understandably, the veterans are outraged.
I think it's absolutely disgraceful for what the museum stands for, and a representative of all the men and women and backup staffs and all the sacrifices they made on D-Day, and to just come along and take the lid off the roof, it beggars belief and shows utter callousness and disrespect.
And with me now is veteran nurse Mary Verrier, who was actually working on the D-Day landings in themselves. Mary, good morning. Thank you for joining us today. And I've got to ask, first and foremost, did you still manage to have a lovely day when the Queen came?
Oh, it was absolutely marvellous. And everybody was so excited, and she was so gracious. And Mark, our chef here, even cooked a cake, the Queen's cake.
Oh.
And she spoke to most everyone in the D-Day Museum.
Oh, she was nice. And I know there's a bit of a problem with the dress because you had the same clothes on, didn't you?
Well, that's right, yes, had the same colour as Her Majesty.
Never mind, I'm sure she wouldn't mind going home to change for you. Now, tell me, this has really upset you, hasn't it? This is more to the point. It's the principle of what's happened.
I think it's absolutely disgraceful that someone would come and mutilate a memorial in memory of all the men and women that left from here to go to D-Day, and to desecrate our roof and perhaps damage some very fragile memorabilia which can never be replaced. I think it's absolutely awful.
Well, you're not alone on that one, Mary. Well, let's bring David in. David, you're the seafront manager here, aren't you? I've got to ask,
I am, yes.
What's the state of play with the roof at the moment? Has it been fixed?
The roof has been fixed currently, but it was touch and go at one stage because they started stealing the net 2 days before the Queen visited. So it was a pretty awful time.
And of course, this wasn't the first time you've been targeted, was it?
No, but this is the third time we've been targeted, and it's all gone now.
And again, it's very quickly, it's not the cost, it's the principle of the thing.
Absolutely, the cost is neither here nor there. It's the principle.
OK. Well, you've heard it, strong words there. We'd love you to help us solve this one. If you can help, please, get on that phone and give us a call.
Yep, if you can, do call. The numbers are there on the screen right now. Now, some progress for you. We've already had a sighting of one of our stolen paintings we featured earlier on, and now we've had a sighting, we think, of the stolen station clock. There it is. Someone has called in this morning to say they think they have spotted it in a car boot sale in Gosport on Sunday. A sighting also this morning of one of our wanted faces. Lots more calls about those stolen paintball guns we showed you yesterday, with people saying that they've seen them, they think, for sale on the internet. And the 2 stolen dogs that we showed you yesterday, there they are, the family pets. We've had some sightings of them as well. All will be passed to the police. But right now, Rav, what have you got for us tomorrow?
All sounds good, Sophie. Tomorrow, I'm on the hunt for the arsonist who set fire to a community school, causing thousands of pounds worth of damage.
It is just sheer panic, it's fear. You know, it's very scary just to see flames coming out of a building you love is very scary.
More on that story on tomorrow's Crimewatch Roadshow. Please keep your calls coming. We'll be here same time tomorrow. Join us 9:15. Bye-bye.